bring them up, which is all good and well. Folks is people is gonna bring them up. That's cool, but that's not gonna be the topic of discussion for my live. If people do want to talk about it, then yeah, we definitely can because it's a topic, you know. All right, I do got a guest. I do have a guest. Michael, give me 1 second, all right? I'm gonna bring you up in a second. Just give me one moment, Michael. All right. What happened to Michael? Yeah, Michael, you can join. Go ahead and come on up. Uh, yeah, hold on, Michael, cause I don't see your request. Give me 1 second. All right, there it is. All right, Michael, I'm gonna go ahead and accept your request. How's it going, Michael? Michael, are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board? Mm-hmm. All right. All right. All right, wonderful. All right, so America was never great. The reason why I say America was never great is because it actually doesn't live up to its proposed principles, and it doesn't live up to what would hold on. It doesn't live up to what greatness would actually be if it actually followed those principles. I'm sorry. Yeah, sure. So, are you guys gonna go down the racial route, or do you actually want to have a discussion? All right. Do you want to actually have a discussion, or you just want to do racism? Which one you want to do? Because I'm not gonna waste my time. All right. Because when you do the brother and cotton picking thing, you know what you're doing. So don't play around. All right. So don't play around with me. All right. Hold on. Let me explain to you why I think America. Let me explain to you why. Let me explain to you why I think America was never great. The reason why America was never great is because even though we've won wars and have a large economy, et cetera, people in this country were still being oppressed, right? Not just black people, but also Native Americans. There was oppression in this country, and you can arguably say that right now we still have an issue of not affording equal opportunity to everybody. Those are still issues. Unless we fix this, hold on, Greg, it's not your turn. Unless we fix those issues, America won't be great. Of course it doesn't. No one said it did. But if you could actually afford equal opportunity, which America can do, and just not do it, you're not a great. You can't. That can't be greatness. Hold on, Greg. It's not your turn, Greg. Let me talk to Michael first. All right. So no. This is not your live. This is my live. This is not your live. This is my live. If you want someone else to talk, then you do a live. But Michael, I'm speaking to Michael. I'm speaking to Michael. Like I said, Greg, I don't care that you care what Greg has to say. I want to hear what you have to say. Respond to my comment, Michael. Not Greg, you, Michael. Ah, yeah, Negroes. Cool. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to Blazing Saddles. Is that your name? Who? I don't think I do. Sorry. If I do know you, I do genuinely apologize if I do know you. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, I do appreciate it, man. Oh, okay, okay, okay. There we go. Once you mentioned that, now I now I get it. Okay. That's where you're from. All right, got you. Hey, I apologize, man. I do appreciate you being here. I apologize for that because completely forgot who you were. Yeah, cool. I see you. Cool. Give me a second. All right, Blazing, how's it going? Did you disagree with anything I had on the board, Blazing, or you just wanted to come on up the live a little bit? Yeah, yeah, of course they are, but that always happens. That always happens. Give me 1 second, all right? The American Dream wasn't designed for my. Yeah, true. Okay, I was just reading some of the comments, but all right, Blazing, I'm gonna go ahead and let you down for a little bit because I usually do opposition. I'm gonna let you down for a little bit, and not a problem. I appreciate you, man. All right, I'm all right. All right, y'all, keep liking the live and keep sharing. Keep liking the live, keep sharing. Let's try to get us. Do you think we need to bring? Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second. Hold on, give me a second. All right. Hey, yo, hold on. Give me a second. All right. So everybody go ahead and like the live and share. Go ahead and like the live and share. I appreciate everyone who's here. You guys are wonderful. Let's try to get us to 5K likes within the next 10 minutes. All right. So why should we bring back the Confederacy? Because people like me? What about people like me? Oh, okay, cool. So you're just a racist then. Oh, okay, so you're racist. All right, cool. So all right, cool. So, you're a racist, and you believe that I'm inferior to you. Then, okay, why is that? All right, cool, cool, true. All right, y'all. So, it's cool that y'all couldn't hear him because he was just spouting out a whole bunch of bullshit. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. Let me connect the speaker real quick. Sorry about that, y'all. Sorry about that, y'all. Give me 1 second. All right, that should be better. All right. Ying Dragon, are you there? Cool. Cool. Can everybody hear the guest? Drop a one if you can hear the guest. Drop a two if you cannot hear the guest. All right, cool. Um, so you are 22. Do you disagree with something I have on the board?
You the world through.
Why is that?
Well, because it reduces everyone down to the components of their identity as opposed to who they actually are.
What do you think woke actually means?
Oh, it's the expansion of the socialist viewpoint of the world past economic lens to any sort of oppressor oppressed lens. So usually to do with social issues such as gender, sex, race, right? So it's the view of the oppressor versus the oppressed.
Not exactly. Well, you actually are on the cusp of it, but what wokeness actually means, or what stay woke was actually meant to mean, in within the black community, it was about recognizing systems of oppression towards black people. And if you can recognize systems of oppression towards black people, since during the time that it was created, you can recognize system of oppression towards everybody else. But it started with black people, and that's what woke basically means: recognizing your racial animus, recognizing racial oppression, recognizing your position in society and how that affects you. It was created in a time of Jim Crow, during the Jim Crow era and the antebellum era. So when you say that it's reductive, I don't see how that can be the case when it was created in a time where that was actually the case.
Well, I think it's very clearly expanded past that since then because woke is very clearly used in more than just racial issues nowadays. It's clearly used for gender, it's used for sexuality, it's used for a whole bunch of issues.
Yes,
So
but
I,
but whose fault is that? Because black people didn't do that. When it got out of the black community, it was white conservatives who said it was everything else. We never said that.
hold on, it's the idea can evolve without it being specific to the group that originally created that idea. It's not just conservatives that use woke that way.
Right. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that yeah, it can evolve, but what I'm saying is that when things evolve, there are certain reasons why they do. Right. For example, if we take the word like retarded, if you know what I'm talking about, if you take that
Yes.
word, the reason why it expanded from an intellectual deficiency to a slur is because people started using it as a slur, and this took time for that to happen. Right. So the motivation for it to become for the not the motivation, but the reason why it evolved from just a medical condition to a slur is because of how it was used in society. Woke was always used in society to mean systematic oppression of black people and recognizing other points of systematic oppression. White conservatives heard it one year and then said it's blue hair hat women screaming at white people. Like there's no like actual utility towards it. If you ask people, about Star Wars or Star Trek or like any type of, nerdy type of comic books or anything type of thing like that, once there's a minority in it or once there's a gay person in it, what are they gonna call it? They're gonna call it woke. That shows that there's no utility in this word anymore. They're just using it for things I don't like.
Well, there is utility in it. It's the method of analysis through it, right? It's the idea of the oppressor versus the oppressed, reducing people from who they actually are to just a list of identities they fall into. Like you could list Ray, for instance, who is often labeled as woke, as a straight white woman, right? You could say, well, okay, she's straight, so she's the oppressor in that category. She's white, so she's the oppressor in that category. But she's a woman, so she's the oppressed in the other. That's clearly very reductive, which makes it a lot less utilitarian, as you've said, as compared to just looking her as a person, right?
Right,
Which is why I think it's a very bad lens.
but that analysis has nothing to do with wokeness.
Well, that's what woke has become.
It's not. That's what y'all say it's become. We've never said that.
Wait. When you say y'all there, like, who are you referring to?
We're talking about conservatives. Y'all the ones who made
No,
that up.
no,
We
no,
didn't say that.
no. Hold on.
No, it wasn't even white liberals who
I'm,
said
I'm
that.
not particularly conservative.
Right, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that it's not even white liberals who said that. Y'all the ones who said that. We're not saying that. Matter of fact, when Rey became a Jedi, it was white conservatives and racist nerds who were calling it woke, and everybody was like, "How is Rey being in a movie woke? How's that woke?" And they said, "Oh, it's because he's a woman." That's what I'm saying. There's no utility there. They're the ones who's using it. What I'm saying is the conservatives are the ones who's using woke as a pejorative. No. When you make all this lens of, oh, no, she's the oppressed because she's a woman, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, sure, there could be some analysis there, right? But that's not what wokeness actually is. You can analyze Ray through a racial and feminist lens, right? You can do that, but that doesn't mean that's what wokeness is.
Well, that's how woke has evolved through everyone, not just conservatives. Liberals use it in that way as well.
Yeah, I understand that liberals using that, and that's why I will. It's because that it left the black community and now it expanded towards what everybody else wants to say. But what I'm saying is that when you actually analyze things in that manner, when you say that it's reductive, right? Let's say I give it to you, you analyze things in that manner. That necessarily wouldn't be reductive. I don't think
I
it.
would say that I would say reducing people down to whatever groups they fall into is necessarily reductive because you take away their actual personhood and just replace them with whatever categories they fall into.
Right, but like what I'm saying is that that's when the thing is you're attaching that to wokeness when what wokeness was supposed to do was to recognize that if was actually supposed to recognize that there are certain intersections, right? There are people who are oppressed in different ways. Like for example, white straight men can be oppressed, right? And the way they can be oppressed is if they're poor, right? Because that's what the entire Rainbow Coalition was about with the Black Panthers, because they recognize that poor white people go through economic depression, correct?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So it's not simply saying that because you're a straight white male, therefore you're an oppressor. It recognizes that there are other ways that you can interact within society. I don't see how that's reductive.
Well, you're still reducing someone to the categories they're in. You're just adding another category there by saying that they're poor, right? You're saying, oh, well, you're oppressor in these classes, but oppressed in these other classes. And as it happens, these other classes take precedent here because X, Y, Z. It's still reductive because you're taking away their actual personhood.
But it doesn't. It's just saying that these are the ways that society is set up. It's not saying that you're no longer a person.
Well, you are removing any factor of the actual person to just list their categories that they are in.
They can still do that. What do you mean?
I mean, when you say, oh, this person is actually oppressed because they're poor despite them being straight and white, you're only listing them by their categories, right? You're saying they are straight, white, and poor.
Yeah, you can be straight, white, and poor. And the poor people are the ones who are oppressed. This is how class systems work. We all understand that.
Right. My point is you are reducing these people down to just their categories which they fall into, which is inherently.
No, we're not. If Cletus
you
from
just did that. You just did that.
Right. But hold on. Listen to me. I'm a black bald man, right?
Yes.
Is you saying that reducing me in any way?
If you are only listing you as black and bold and a man.
But that's not what we're doing. That's what I'm saying. We're not saying that these hold on, wait, listen. When people talk about being woke in class analysis, we're not saying that this is all a person is. No one is saying that. When we do class analysis on oppression, no one is saying that these categories are the only thing a person is. You're the only one saying this. No one is saying that.
By stating they are or aren't an oppressor based off those characteristics, you are you are necessarily reducing them down to those characteristics because you are removing any other sort of reason why they may or may not be an oppressor. You are removing all the other information to do so. You're looking at things through a certain lens, which is removing all the other information about them in order to get your analysis done.
Like, no, not necessarily, because being a white man or being a white person just by yourself doesn't necessarily make you an oppressor.
I agree, which is why viewing people as a white man or not is not particularly helpful. It's regressive.
No, it can be helpful in a lot of ways when we do actual analysis in society. When we see who has more advantages or less advantages, what gives them those advantages. And in our society, especially American society, being white is an advantage. It just is. They're not saying that, Cletus from Podunk, Idaho has the same type of opportunities that LeBron James have. Of course he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? But what we're saying is that overall in society, being a white man is advantageous. Because if Cletus were to go to LeBron James' neighborhood, someone probably wouldn't call the cops on him. But LeBron had to call cops on them several times, despite him being LeBron. You see what I'm saying? So this is what we're talking about.
Well, you're necessarily reducing a lot of information about all the people that you're saying. If you are black, you have this effect. This thing will happen. If you're white, this thing will happen. That is inherently reductive, right?
We're not saying it's going to happen 100% all the time, but it does happen.
Sorry, I mean more likely to happen.
It's more likely to, and that's true. It is more likely to happen. How is it reductive to say something that's true?
It's also reductive. It's because something can be reductive and still be true, right? You understand that, right?
So we're not supposed to tell the truth because it may be reductive? That makes no sense.
I'm saying it's not a good lens to view the world through because it is.
But it's true. How are we going to solve this issue if we don't say it?
Because just because something is true doesn't mean it's helpful to say, right?
All right, so what should we do about discrimination in our society? Because us not saying anything is not going to solve it.
We should stop caring about race at all.
That doesn't work.
Why?
That doesn't work because
if no one cares about race, then there can be no discrimination.
Right. The only way to stop caring about race is to point out that it's still an issue. That's the only way to stop caring about it.
Sorry, did you just say the only way to stop caring about race is to keep on pointing out race?
Yes, Because if
Yeah.
yes, because if we don't point out that black people are more likely to get brutalized by police, that black people are more likely to not get hired at a certain job, even when they do have the same qualifications. If we don't point any of this stuff out, if we don't point out that black boys are more likely to be seen as misbehaving children, even in pre-K when they're doing the same thing as everybody else, if we do not show these things, what happens? They just continue. So why would we ignore a problem?
If you keep on pointing out race as an issue, it's going to keep on perpetuating race being an issue.
Why
Because
would
if
we
people don't
ignore?
care about if people don't care about race, those things will stop happening.
But
If no one
obviously
just
people.
mentions it, it stops being a thing.
But
right?
that's never been the case. You do not solve problems by ignoring it. You're literally telling us to ignore a problem. How do you solve a problem by ignoring
Because
it?
when the problem is people pointing out a thing,
But that's not the
the
problem.
solution is to ignore that thing.
But that's not the problem. The problem isn't
is.
us. No. The problem isn't us pointing it out. The problem is people deny that it's an issue in the first place. That's the problem.
I thought the problem was that people were being treated differently.
Yes, people are being
And
treated
the only way
different.
they're treated
Hold on,
differently is because that difference is being pointed out in the first place.
No, incorrect.
If you
The
don't
reason
recognize someone as
incorrect,
black,
incorrect,
how are you going to
incorrect,
discriminate them for
incorrect,
being black?
incorrect. The reason why this is still an issue is because people are being treated differently, right? They're not being treated differently because we're pointing it out. They're being treated differently because this is how society was set up. This was hold on, wait. Let me finish. This was an issue before me and you were ever born, right? It was already an issue. In America, in the UK, and Canada, this issue that we're talking about was already a problem, right? So now that it's a problem and we see how much it affects our society, you're saying that we shouldn't talk about it anymore, despite the fact that the problem is still going to continue, even if we don't talk about it. How does that make sense to you?
The problem is perpetuated by the fact that we keep on perpetuating this idea of race. If we stop mentioning it, if we stop saying, oh, well, your skin color is different, so you're different, the entire issue goes away because it is perpetuated by the idea that there is some difference because of it. If we stop caring about race at all, what difference is there to discriminate against? If you say, oh, well, black people are being discriminated against, well, if we stop caring about what's black, we don't even know what's black at that point.
Right. No, I understand what you're advocating for is the deconstruction of race as a concept. I'm with you. We should deconstruct race as a concept, but we don't get there by simply ignoring the racial problems that we already have. We can't get there because the racial issues will still continue.
That's precisely how you get there.
Hold on. You're saying hold on. You're saying we have to deconstruct it. I understand that, but you're saying that if we simply do not talk anymore about black people being discriminated against in the criminal justice system, they'll stop being discriminated against in the criminal justice system because we don't talk about it anymore?
If we stop caring about race at all, then yes, there can be no discrimination based off race.
Right. We should stop caring. We should stop caring about race, but that's not our reality, bro. That's not our reality. Our reality is that people hold on. Our reality is people do care about race, which is why we have to talk about it because people care about it still. We have to solve these issues. We cannot do what you're talking about, bro. We have to solve these issues first. We just can't say let's not care about race anymore. Cool. I would love for us to not care about race tomorrow. I would love to deconstruct race tomorrow. But the fact of the matter is, just the other day, there was a white man who got his neck shot off, and black colleges were automatically threatened. People care about race, so we have to keep talking about it.
Have you considered that this talk about it is perpetuating people caring about race?
No.
Well, it does. If people just stop talking about it, no one cares. Like
that makes no sense, dude. You're literally saying for me to ignore all of the issues that are going on with black people that black people face just because it makes people uncomfortable. No. Fuck all that, bro. I'm not doing that.
I'm an individualist. I'm not saying to stop caring about the actual individual issues that individual people care about. I'm saying stop
Talking
caring
about
as a
group
neutral
issues. We
issue. Stop caring
can't. We
about it
can't, bro.
based
We
off a
cannot.
characteristic.
We
You
cannot
can.
do
You can
that.
say this person is
No,
being
we can.
discriminated against. You don't need to bring into effect
We
anything else.
no,
You
we
just
can
look at
no.
them
We
as a
have to look at
person.
everything else. We have to look at everything else, bro. What you're saying is completely ridiculous. How exactly do we solve issues in society? How exactly do we solve systemic racism, which is an issue in our society, if we're gonna say that no one should care about race anymore and we shouldn't bring up group issues? That's ridiculous. How are you gonna solve this?
So you bring up.
How are you gonna solve? How you cannot solve systemic problems through individual action? You can't do that. That's not possible.
You do it.
Jim Crow,
in
hold on,
America, you
hold
do it
on,
through
hold on, hold on, hold
individual
on.
case law.
Jim Crow did not end by Martin Luther King just being a good guy. That's not how it ended. It ended by policy, did it, right?
Yeah, you do it by individual case law.
No, 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 no. Individual case law is a group thing. The Civil Rights Act didn't say we're gonna stop discriminating against Jerome and Jeff and Tyler and all these other people. It said stop discriminating against black people. It was a group thing. It was systemic. It wasn't individual. You don't solve systemic issues with individuals.
Well, hold up. The Civil Rights Act wasn't individual case law. That was a law, not case law. Case law would be something like Roe v. Wade before it was overturned, right? You take a single issue and you say you can't do this anymore. You don't need to look at all those other
And
things.
that's
You look
what
at the
and that's
individual.
what and that's what we're doing. But you're saying that to not do that. You
I'm saying
can't.
don't look at them as a set of characteristics. You look at them as a person,
Of course, we should look at them as a person. But
which
but
is
in the day,
anti-woke.
of course, no, that's not anti woke. That is woke.
It is.
That is that. No, 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 no. That's what woke is. That's what. No, that's what woke is. That's what woke is.
Woke is
So-
looking at them as characteristics.
No, it's not. No, it's
It's
not.
looking at them and saying, "Oh, you."
No, it's
those
not. No, it's
characteristics,
not.
but
No, it's
these
not.
ones.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You have to look. You cannot. Look, I'm going to repeat this again. How do you solve a systemic issue with individual action? How do you do that?
Individual case law. I just said.
Individual case law is not an individual action.
It is though.
So what was
it
civil
is-
rights?
Where?
What was civil rights? Civil rights wasn't an individual case law. It was a policy that addresses hold on. It was a policy.
sorry,
Hold on.
explain
Hold on, Ying. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 in America wasn't an individual case law. It was a law that stopped a systemic issue, or was supposed to stop a systemic issue, which was Jim Crow. It was not an individual case law, and you cannot just simply solve this issue by individual case laws. You have to solve it by a systemic problem, which is why individual case law is not what stopped housing discrimination. Housing discrimination was stopped by, hold on, housing discrimination wasn't stopped by Tommy going to sue Jimmy or Tyrell going to sue Tyler. That's not how it happened. It happened because the government says you cannot discriminate against these people. It was systemic. You can't solve systemic issues with individuals. You can't do that, bro. That's not gonna work because guess what? In our justice system, our justice system is extremely expensive. So if every single black person were to go up to every single racist landowner, like that's gonna clog up the system. That's why we have class action lawsuits, right?
Do you mind if I ask a question? Like, if you don't mind interrupting.
Yeah, I'm almost done with Ying, and I think Jeff wanted to chime in. Jeff, did you want to chime in on something?
Yeah, I just had a question, but here you go.
Yeah, sure. I'll let you and Jeff in a bit. All right, guys. Go ahead and keep liking the live and keep sharing, keep liking the live and keep sharing. I do appreciate everybody who's here. I do appreciate everyone who is commenting. I'm at 5K likes now. Let's try to get us up to 7K. If we can do that, that would be wonderful. All right, so, yeah, Ying, how do you solve a systemic issue just by individual case law? That would not be possible to do.
Well, something like Roe v. Wade did that.
Right, but no, something like Roe v. Wade did not do that, actually. Roe v. Wade stopped a systemic issue because there were a whole bunch of laws on the books that says that women can't do this. And Roe v. Wade says that y'all can't stop women in general from doing this.
Yeah, which that was individual case law. That was Roe
And it
versus
stopped
Wade.
the
That was a individual case
And it
law.
stopped a systemic issue, correct? Because it applied to everybody. So you cannot stop. Yeah. So you cannot stop
Everybody,
us.
not a group
You
of
cannot.
characteristics.
Right. No. It did stop a group of characteristics. Women, because guess what? Men can't get pregnant, can we?
Whoa, hold up. That's incredibly transphobic.
You serious?
Yeah, that is. Can you take that back? That's really transphobic to say.
What, that men can't get pregnant?
Yes.
All right. Males can't get pregnant.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So males can't get pregnant, right? So Roe v. Wade was stopped a systemic issue against females, correct?
Well, it stopped everyone. Well, it let everyone.
No, it was only for females because
is there any law
because
saying,
males can't get pregnant.
Is there any law saying males can't get an abortion?
Of course, there isn't, because it's not possible.
Right. So
Males can't get pregnant. Why would there be a law that says that males that strict males from getting abortions? Males can't get pregnant.
Right. So it was not based off, like, the law was the same for everyone. It's not based off a certain group.
No, it was based off a certain group, females.
That would be like saying the
but
FAA regulates me flapping my arms and flying.
What?
Ying, if you were being sarcastic, you can just say that. And
No, that was an analogy. There was no sarcasm. I said,
no, I was talking to Ying. I'm sorry, but yeah.
oh, all right.
Were you being sarcastic by asking him about the trans stuff being woke and whatnot, that men cannot get pregnant? Was that a sarcastic comment or something serious?
Well, do you think that trans women are women? Do you think trans men are men?
It doesn't matter what I think, what you think. It does not matter. The guy was talking about an issue, and let's go back to that issue. Let's not divert to other stuff just to play politics and prove that he's like wrong and you are wrong and I am right.
I think that trans rights are important no matter what issue you're talking about.
I think we should talk about the problem that he was originally talking about. There is a group of people who seem to share a specific characteristic that do not seem to be doing well. And how does that get solved? And you were suggesting it's done individually. And
I'm suggesting that you stop caring about that characteristic. I'm suggesting you stop caring about that characteristic in the first place.
Yeah,
the only way discrimination based off a characteristic can exist is for people in the first place to care about whatever characteristic you are on about in the first place.
I don't disagree. Look, I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with you. I just want to understand the conversation. Because look, I noticed recently that there is another group with a different characteristic. They were also using race as well. But unlike what I'm hearing from him, that the system needs to be fair, their argument is that our genes are superior, and that has been the case for a long time, and that we have been, we built civilization and all of that, and because of that, the system should favor us. But the thing is, I think both groups are suffering from the same problem, that for a lot of young people, there is no opportunity anymore. And the economy is just getting fucked. And I agree with you that we should maybe tone down point out that it's not just a race thing. It's not just race, it's also an age thing. It's an entire generation of people who are of a specific kind of age that do not have a future at all. And people need to come together onto that point. And basically, I agree with you that we should be a little bit more, we should stop highlighting the race so much, because it's also going to create more problems. But
listen, y'all. Here's the thing. In principle, I could agree, right? In principle, we should not really be caring what skin color people are. But that's not the reality we live in. The reality we live in is that people who look like me, people who look like Jeff, people who look like Tahir, we have certain stereotypes against us, and that was built before any of us were born. And the only way that we can dismantle all of that is if we address it. Saying let's just not care about it anymore does not solve that problem. You have to You have to have direct action against these. MLK did not achieve civil rights by saying, I'm just not going to care about race. That's not how it happened.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying I'm not suggesting. I'm just saying that there is another group as well now, maybe not historically, but now that is the case, that are also making the same argument that you are making. People like me are being treated very unfairly, and we have to take action for our group. And you can dismiss them completely and be like, oh, fuck off, you privileged white male. You can say that. But unfortunately, the reality is they are indeed, at the time, look, I'm not talking historically. The past is the past. But today, they are getting fucked too. And the reaction, the difference between the reactions that now they're saying we are superior. We are the inheritors of the Roman Empire. And they're making these arguments, and they are forming brotherhoods and whatnot. So this is where Yang has a point where, if we continue to make things about race and all of that, we're eventually gonna have to deal with these guys, and we do not want to deal with these guys. We should all come together. We recognize that for our specific age, we're all facing the same problem.
Right, and that's exactly what we would like to do. We would love to do that, but the guys that you're talking about are doing exactly what I said before, are pretending that the issues that face people like me do not exist. And fixing those issues means that they lose something. One of the big issues that we have in society, I've always said, I just kind of came up with this, right? One of the big issues that we don't recognize in society is that we don't recognize how much capitalism actually affects our mindset, because capitalism is built off of scarcity, right? It's built off of a zero-sum game. So what a lot of people that you're describing, what they think is that if my group gains certain rights or gains certain advantages or gains certain equalities, all of a sudden they're going to lose something. And that's not the case.
They're socialists, but they're the nationalist type, if you know
Right.
what I mean.
No, yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about, but they're not actually really socialists. But what I'm saying is that they're not. But what I'm saying is that when it comes to what you're talking about, right? The only reason why they think that way is because they think in zero-sum game faction. They think is that if I gain equality, if my group gains some equality with them, they're gonna lose, which makes no sense. Society just doesn't work that way, right?
To be honest with you, look, I don't want to sound like a dickhead, and this is not my views at all. So I don't want to be insensitive, but they do not think like that. They think that you are just inferior to them, and that's horrible. It's an absolutely horrible thing, and that's what they think. Actually, they do not think that it's because of you, or if you're not equal to them. They just think that you're not
that
good
I'm
enough.
inferior. Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And that is real, actual racism, and it's very
it
problematic.
is. We don't disagree. That is real, actual racism, right?
But what I want to highlight, that you guys should be on the same team, because we're all facing the same problem, right?
We're not.
It's for our age group. It's for our generation. It's this entire age group that is having this problem.
We're not.
And we have one side
we're
making
not.
it about
We're not facing the same problem.
as an age, of course, I'm not talking about literally every single one, but I'm just talking about the majority, the vast majority.
Even no matter which way you slice it, that's just not a true statement.
Okay, we can talk about that. Why do you think that is the case?
Well, so here's the thing. I want to address the first thing. The people that think the way that you said they think, they're going to do that anyway. Us doing whatever you want us to do isn't going to change that. They're just going to think that way anyway. But I do want to address the idea of us becoming a team, because I've heard a lot about that recently, and it makes my booty itch, and I don't like that because I have a bidet. You know what I'm saying, Volsi?
I know exactly what you're saying, bro.
So here's the thing: if you're gonna be on my team, I gotta be able to trust you. That's number one. And if I'm telling you, hey, We did a study called the Veil of Darkness study, 95 million traffic stops. And police, by and large, disproportionately stop black people when they can see us. And you're like, yeah, but we got to stop thinking of talking. Then I'm going to think, hey, you're not doing the Phil Jackson playbook. You're trying to do some other playbook. Like, you're not doing the triangle offense. So I can't trust you, right? If I say, hey, black women are 3 times more likely, like, this isn't something that case law is going to fix, 3 times more likely to unalive during childbirth, 4 times in the UK, sometimes even 5, Ying. And you go, well, it'll go away if you stop thinking about it. I'm going to think when I do a no look pass, that joint is going right out of bounds. Right? I'm gonna do that. Steph Curry behind the back is gonna go right out of bounds. And I'm gonna look, where was he at? Because you don't see the problem. I can't trust you. If I look at the education system and I say, hey, black students and white students, when they do the exact same behaviors, black students are much more likely to be suspended. And you go, yeah, but that's just because you keep talking about race. No, I didn't talk about race. Those are kids in school. It just happens. I cannot trust you. The first thing, very, very first thing we have to do is admit that there is an issue and that it's not like something new. It's been around for hundreds of years. It's just transformed. It's gone into a cocoon. It comes out, and then people go, oh, look, a butterfly, not realizing it's the same freaking caterpillar. It's just got paper wings glued on it. So, like, that's the problem. If I say to you that from the inception of this country, black people were not allowed to have generational wealth, and now only a select few, just to show the model minority myth, are given just a little bit of money. And then we immediately go, hey, but those guys made it. We're just doing the racism. We're saying, hey, well, if those guys made it, how come all the other black people haven't? That's the racism. See? So we're now facing the same thing at all. Not even remotely.
My brother, like, trust me, I understand and I am aware of the history. And by the way, I'm just, to mention, I'm not of that skin colors, and we face like similar problems as you guys. And I'm not suggesting that you guys are wrong or there's no problem at all. It's just you keep highlighting race. I'm not saying any of these things. And this is where I disagree with Yang. And what I am saying is that now there is like for a specific age group, everyone is kind of fucked. And maybe now they will feel what you guys have been feeling for a long time.
Hey, I'm going to tell you why they won't. Because what you're describing is something called intersectionality, right? Like, there is racism, there is anti-LGBTQ sentiment, there is classism, there is xenophobia, there is religious bigotry. But the difference is that when you're black, you have the unique opportunity, like almost like a gift, to get hit with all of those at once. Meaning, for a white person, right, you can get hit with a few of them, but you'll never be black. Just like for me, I'm a man, right? I'm not ever going to face misogyny. I can get hit with every bigotry on the planet, but I'm not going to be facing what women face. That's not a thing, right? So we have to identify that. We have to address that. Just because other people get other things, racism is a unique thing in that. And I wouldn't even say unique, because misogyny has been around since as far back, even further back. But racism is a thing that has been cemented and applauded. Like, the past 24 hours have taught me that if you are a black person in this country and something happens to you on national television, people are going to try to immediately slander your character. But if you're white, that's not going to happen. No matter who you are, the bar is going to be in hell for like what makes you a person. For a black person, that person, oh, they had a joint in their mouth one time. So they unalived? Whoopee doo. For a white person, oh, but how could you? They're a father.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's crazy, Volsi, is how
Mm.
much people in the past 24 hours have worshipped a nut. Like just a nut. Like that's what it is, right? Like, hey,
Complete nut.
like that's it. And I'm not talking about nut like crazy. I'm talking about like nut like what it takes to be a father.
Mm-hmm.
Like you nutted. That's it. That's the bar.
That's the bar, bro. Like bars in hell. Jesus Christ.
12-year-old kid. Oh, but he looked grown.
Yeah, he was
Like, I
five
don't
foot
know about
seven, so
that. Like,
he's a grown adult. Ridiculous.
But on that note, I got to drop because it's family time. I just wanted to give my 2 cents. Stop by and talk a little racism with my brother.
Gotcha. Hey, I appreciate you, Jeff. Hey, remember to come out to the to the cookout next year, all right? The Black Atheist
Yeah,
Skeptics
no,
Universe.
I'm in the Discord. I got you.
I
I'm
appreciate
not,
you, man.
I'm actually not far. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you. Definitely, man. We got to do that one day. We got to have a game night. Now, I mean, next time me and wifey have a game night, I'll bring you over, all right?
All right, I'll check you.
I appreciate you, man.
All right, one.
All right, guys. I appreciate everybody being up. I appreciate all the discussion. All right, guys, keep liking and sharing. If you're watching me over on YouTube right now, go ahead and hit the likes up. Make some comments. It does help me out in the algorithm. If you disagree with anything I have on the board, go ahead and come on up. I would appreciate you. All right. Ying, did you disagree with anything else? I think we ran that topic to the ground, basically.
Yeah, I think we did kind of reach the end of it. I mean, we both ultimately agree with the same end. It's just how we get there we disagree with. I think that in general, that any sort of view through race is only going to lead to more racial differences in the long run, and same with any other group like gender or sexuality. Whereas you think that you want to try and correct the issues first and then phase it out. I mean, I think that can only go badly because whatever laws are written, I think, are going to be flawed just based off how laws are, right? Because politicians are flawed. So I think a general avoidance of the topic in general is better. But I mean, like, it's just a disagreement on like implementation as opposed to actual fundamentals, right?
Right. All right. I appreciate you, Ying. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thanks for having me up, and thanks for not just kicking me for no reason.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. Appreciate you.
Yeah, see you, man.
All right, guys. Yogurt, how's it going?
all good, man. How are you?
I'm all right. All right, Yogurt. I know you talked a little bit now, but did you disagree with anything I had on the board?
Absolutely do not disagree with, the stuff that you mentioned. I fully agree with you, man. Like, we relate to a lot of what you guys have been through.
Yeah.
But it's like you kind of have to compromise with them. They're just not gonna let you. We have history like like 1,000 years of fighting with Christians, and it's like you don't win with them when you point out their flaws and you tell them to stop being. We tried that, and they kept coming back, and you need to compromise with them. You need to basically make deals with them. And anyways, man, like, we're all kind of getting fucked these days anyways, and people are,
I mean, I do hope things get better one day. I mean, I do have like guess you could call it faith. I have hope that humanity can get better. You know what I mean? Because we've seen it get better. Like humanity has shown that we can honestly be amazing. You know what I mean? And so we've shown it before. It's just right now is difficult to get there for some reason, but it'll happen one day. Yeah, I mean, we just have
it's good
to.
to be helpful. I'm sorry, but I'm the opposite. I am pessimistic. That's why I want to talk with you guys, to be inspired that there's a way out of this. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Yogurt, I appreciate you being up. I'm gonna see if
Yeah.
any more opposition ones come up, but go ahead, stick
Sure,
around. I
yeah,
appreciate
you
you.
too, man. Yeah,
Not
yeah,
a problem.
appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
All right, guys, go ahead and keep liking it live and sharing. Keep liking it live and sharing. Like I said, I appreciate everybody being here. Ooh, let me move this over just a little bit. I did have some guests before, but not sure what happened. They might have dropped out. But like I said, if you disagree with anything I have on the board, go ahead and come on up and we can talk about it. Shout out to everyone who's watching over on my YouTube. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. Shout out to the GOAT to here, who is here and dropping likes in the comments and everything like that, keeping the comments going. You guys are great. Like I said, I'm not gonna be here for. I wasn't gonna be here for long, because I already know what's going on since yesterday. People are, who boy, you know what I mean. So, excuse me, I'm still getting over that cough. But yeah, these are the topics that I have for tonight. I may run another topic just to see what people say. Go ahead and gift me up, y'all. I do have a gift goal. If you see that gift goal right there, go ahead and let me go ahead and pin that real quick. Yeah, Issa, I need some water. I need some tea. That's what I need. I need some water and I need some tea because